Fresh off their Saturday evening performance on the Blue Stage, the radio department were kind enough to sit down and chat with Newcity about their experiences at Pitchfork. The Swedish trio, which includes Johan Duncanson, Martin Larsson, and Daniel Jader, spoke not only about what performing at Pitchfork was like, but also the differences between American and Swedish audiences.
For people who might be listening who aren't familiar with you, how would you describe your music to them?
I
usually say that we're a pop group.
Yeah, just pop, but it's...
Well, you're usually classified under the dream pop.
Yeah.
You know, and those genres are always so limiting, but...
Yeah, dream pop. Yeah, it does seem limiting. It's
it used to be shoegaze, but now it's dream pop.
Yeah, shoegaze, new gaze, dream pop. I don't know. We're a pop group. That way we can, change.
So your last album was released in 2010. Has your sound changed?
Yeah, we try to constantly change. It's more fun for us that way. I don't want to say too much about which direction our next album is going to take because we still don't really know yet. We're just trying things.
Experimenting.
So far, yes.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But yeah, it's going to keep changing.
In regards to audience dynamic, what do you guys look for in an audience if you have any? What's your favorite kind of audience? It's is the Pitchfork audience your ideal audience?
Obviously, you always like the reaction. If they like you or get a reaction, it's probably better than be quiet.
Usually, the audiences that we've had in America have been really appreciative and really supportive. We did a European tour earlier this year, and it was hard in some places because we didn't quite get the reaction that we were used to after our North American tour. So we were kind of spoiled by great American audiences, I think.
I was going to ask you guys, because you're based in Sweden, correct?
Yeah.
So, is there any huge differences between American audiences and Swedish audiences?
I think Americans are slightly more outgoing in general. And I think people tend to shout more, and I kind of like that. It's great to have an audience that feels lively.
Have you guys played the Pitchfork Festival before? No. Okay, so how did you like it today?
It was good. We were having technical difficulties in the beginning. After a while, we kind of
Calm down.
yeah, got into it more.
It's stressful in the beginning.
Yeah, I think the second half of the show was much better than the first half, and it felt good after a while.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Now, is there any plans for a new album at the moment?
There's always plans for albums. We always discuss the 3 next albums and how they're going to sound. So there's always an album, but we never know when
we're going to finish one. Exactly. The last one took 3 years for us to finish. Usually we want to record songs really fast, but we're kind of picky about what we present when we or release. So we'll see. We haven't set a deadline or anything. We'll see what happens. But hopefully it won't take as long as the last one did.
We'll be on the lookout then.
Oh, great. Thank you.
We will certainly be on the lookout for new material from the radio department and anxious to hear what sorts of experiments they'll be making with pop music in general. Big thanks to them. We also managed to get a hold of 2 of the members of the band Kylesa on Sunday, Philip Cope and Laura Pleasance. Another one of our reporters, Ben Small, asked them about their perception of Pitchfork and other music festivals they performed at, as well as how their sound differentiates them from other metal bands, and about being the token metal group of the weekend. First off, though, they explained what their sound is.
It's a combination of lots of different styles, but it's essentially heavy, riff and rhythm oriented, but with melody and dynamic.
So have you played anything like Pitchfork before in terms of a big indie festival?
Yes, but in Europe.
Actually, quite a few.
We've played quite a few.
Yeah.
That are just all over the board.
So do you have any do you have different expectations for a festival like this as you would to maybe something that's more within your style? Or...
They're all fun, really.
Yeah, they're all fun. Yeah, I think it keeps. I think we're lucky in that we're a band that scoots around with lots of different sounds, and we can play with lots of different kinds of bands and different kinds of music. Especially being fans of different kinds of music, it makes it more fun for us to play festivals or shows with a diverse lineup of
Is
styles.
there any sort of bands, particularly on this lineup, that influence you or that you find influence Edmonton?
Absolutely. I mean, unfortunately, we weren't here for the whole weekend because we just flew in yesterday afternoon. But I got over here in time to catch DJ Shadow, who I really like. And then, we're big Animal Collective fans, but we miss them. But TV on the radio, we're looking forward to seeing tonight.
Like to see Odd Future today.
Wanted to see Off, but missed them
Yeah,
as
they
well.
were great yesterday. Is it like, do you find it's good to reach new ears as well, like people that may not be into metal that sort of happen upon you? Do you find that you get new fans in that way?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because if one is going to classify our band, and people like to tag you with a certain name. I mean, if we are a metal band, I mean, we are a very different kind of metal band.
Yeah. Like the last couple of records got rave reviews from Pitchfork. Were you quite surprised by that?
Yeah.
But we were stoked.
Yeah, no, obviously.
Happily surprised.
Yeah. That's awesome. Did you like see a noticeable change in fan base after that?
I think specifically with Spiral Shadow, it's opened up to some new fans.
Yeah.
I've talked to a lot of people personally about it.
Yeah.
So I think to some extent, yes.
Before this festival happened, I wrote an article about the way the lineup is kind of organised at Pitchfork, in the sense that most of the bands are quite similar, and then they sort of try and make it a mixed lineup by sort of sticking maybe like bands like Kylesa or Off on, which is fine if it kind of makes a mixed bill, but I think that when you've just got like one or two bands that sort of deviate from the form, it kind of like seems a bit token. Do you have any? How do you feel about that?
What do you mean if they put them like side by
No, especially
side
we're like
side?
the token metal band.
Yeah, like you are the only metal band playing. Off, we're the only punk band playing. Like,
if there had to be a token metal band for this fest, I'm glad it was us.
yeah.
I have no problem.
Yeah, no problem.
No complaints about being here whatsoever.
Hopefully it goes over well, and other metal bands can get on.
Yeah. So yeah, it's been over a year since, been like over half a year since Spiral Shadow came out. Have you started the songwriting process for the new album?
Not yet. We've been touring pretty heavily on the record, and we'll start writing pretty soon.
All right. Do you think it's going to be? Are you planning to be more experimental? Is it like, because the difference between Static Tension and Spiral Shadows is quite noticeable. Do you think it's going to be? I know you haven't started writing it yet, but do you have a feeling that it's going to be similar sort of?
There's no plan. We're just going to start writing, and whatever we write, that's what it is.
Yeah.
There's no plan or
I think it'll be pretty natural.
Yeah.
In what we come up with.
All right. What's the plans for the future then? Have you got more touring before you start recording or start writing?
A little bit, some stuff here and there.
Yeah. Are you heading abroad at all?
We're doing a few shows in August in Europe, like Poland and I believe
I didn't hear the question.
we're going to this summer in Europe.
Yeah.
We're going to Poland. Are we going to?
We're gonna go to Norway.
That's Norway. That's right.
All right. In terms of the Savannah metal scene, is there anyone else that you could recommend? Because I guess with Baroness, Mastodon, you guys, there must be something in the water that makes good metal bands out of Savannah. Is there any up-and-coming ones that...
It's a small town, which I don't think people seem to realize.
Yeah.
There's not.
That's why it's quite strange that three like really prominent metal bands have come out.
There's a whole crop of new bands that I haven't even get to see play yet. Then there's a whole music scene outside of just metal. There's some really good bands that are formed up that are I think pushing boundaries musically a lot like some of the metal bands have, but it's not metal. They're not trying to ride on the metal, because everybody thinks of metal right now and they think of Savannah, but there's a group of bands that are trying to make their own name, doing their own thing, and not really ride that tag, which I think is really cool.
I think that's cool too.
Yeah.
Keeps it fresh.
Yeah, not being the sheep, I guess. Thanks very much for talking to us at Newcity.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Despite the searing heat, Pitchfork seemed to provide an enjoyable music-filled weekend for underground sound lovers all across the board. The festival is changing, from the stage setup to the audience to the vendors and on. How that may change their fan base remains to be seen. While perusing the people-littered avenues, Newcity managed to scoot in and speak with some of the audience members trying to cool off in the shade. We talked to them briefly about how their weekend at Pitchfork went. Some were generally satisfied with their experience at Pitchfork.
Animal Collective has been my favorite band for years, and I got to see them again for the 5th time. Fleet Foxes was great, like 2008, and TV on the Radio I love, so I can't wait. So.
And have you been here before, or?
Yeah, every year since 2000, besides 2007. So.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah.
And others were not as impressed.
I just feel like in years past it's been like a more interesting lineup, and I just wasn't very like impressed with a lot of the bands.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely, like in the other years, there was bands that you hadn't heard of before, where I think this year there's been very few that were something new to discover.
While the attendance this year was apparently underwhelming, the festival doesn't seem to be slowing down. The performers certainly seem to enjoy their time there, and one can only hope that that is reciprocated in the audience. Though, with spectators as meticulous as Pitchforkers can be, that's never for sure. We await next year's festival with anticipation, not only for a new lineup, but also to see what path Pitchfork is driven down, whether through its own devices or that of its followers. Thanks to all the listeners out there. If you got the chance to go to Pitchfork or are generally interested in the cultural happenings around our glorious city of Chicago, feel free to sound off on your experience at our website, newcity.com. We're always looking to hear from listeners and readers alike. As a double entendre, stay cool, folks, and we hope you keep checking out everything Newcity.